Welcome to All Things Possible TV. I'm Kris Barney, and this is my partner, Bill Barney.
Hi.
And we are thrilled to have an exciting episode for you today. And I'm thrilled because it gets to be Bill's total time. And I'm excited about that. So today, you're going to have part one of the healing power of forgiveness. And forgiveness is huge. And so without any further ado, I'm going to slip out, let Bill take over, and enjoy the episode on the healing power of forgiveness.
So we're going to talk today about the healing power of forgiveness. But before we get into that, I want to tell you a little bit about our family. I have an amazing family. I got 4 boys and a girl, and we enjoy spending a lot of time together as a family. We camp, we go boating. In fact, one of our favorite places to go boating is Lake Powell in the southern part of the state of Utah. And that's the highlight of our year. Every year is when we go down and spend some time there. Well, several years ago, we decided it was time to buy into a houseboat, and for the first week that we had the houseboat, we invited our friends to come with us, and these were lifetime good friends. And he rented some jet skis. Now, if you don't know what jet skis are, they're these little ride-on. It's like a motorboat that 2 people ride on, a watercraft. Tons of fun, going and exploring the beautiful canyons of Lake Powell, and just having fun. And so he rented these 2 jet skis, and one of them was really a normal jet ski, you know, just your average run-of-the-mill, do 40, 50 miles an hour. And the other one he brought was this supersonic water rocket on wheels. It was amazing. This thing had so much power. Your average motorboat, you know, a good family ski boat, a lot of times they'll put a Chevy 350 V8 engine in them, and that thing puts out about 260 horsepower. Well, this 2-person watercraft was putting out about 260 horsepower just for 2 people. You know, a fraction of the size of the boat. So you can imagine how fast this thing was. You give it the gas and it was on top of the water and doing 70 miles an hour in nothing flat. Very, very powerful, high-performance machine. We had a blast with it. But this machine came with 2 keys. It came with a green key and a yellow key. And the yellow key was the performance key, the one that allowed you to access all the power that machine would put out. The other key was green, and it was what you call a training key. We call it the kiddie key. And our boys seen us, me and my friend, out there on this machine just ripping up, and it's like, oh, we want to go ride the jet ski. And so we'd say, here, let me give you the key, and we'd give them the green kiddie key. And they'd go out there and gas it, and it would go around at about half the power. And the reason they did this is since it was such a high-performance machine, it gave people a chance to learn more of the characteristics of how the machine operated until they felt safe with it, then they could use the other one. Our kids didn't know this, and they come back very frustrated, wondering why the machine wouldn't work for them. And we was just like, it's because you guys don't know how to ride like us old guys do, you know. And we had a lot of fun messing with them. It didn't take them long to figure out that there was a difference in the keys, and then, of course, they insisted they get the yellow key when they went to ride. Why do I tell this story? Because I will never forget the day that I realized that I wasn't using the right key in life, that I was operating at partial or half power. And this happened a couple of years ago. Actually, it was on June 14th of 2012. I was driving down the freeway, and my foot was on fire. I was in so much pain just from the pain itself. I felt like I was going to cry. And I was starting to think, oh my gosh, when I get to my destination, am I going to be able to get out of my truck and walk? And I was thinking also, what's going to happen with my career? Am I going to be able to enjoy time with my kids? Am I going to be able to keep making a living and providing for my family if this crippling thing that is going on with my foot gets any worse? Because it was getting to the point where I was having a hard time walking. And this had been going on for a while. It had started several months earlier in January when it felt like I stepped on a rock or a little stone and bruised the heel of my foot. And gosh, I got home at night and my foot was kind of sore, and I thought, oh, I stepped on something wrong, a sharp rock, and didn't think anything of it. Well, this continued. In fact, it got worse. And I'm an energy healer, and I know several different modalities to help us deal with things. And so I started into that. Doing EFT, I'd cleared emotions. I went into so many different modalities to try and fix my foot, and I got temporary relief. But overall, it kept getting worse. Finally, it got so bad that I went to my doctor and said, "Doctor, my foot's hurting. What can you do?" And what he did, he was very kind. He gave it a really fancy name that I can't pronounce, and it didn't make my foot any better knowing what name to call my little problem I had. But he sent me to an orthopedic specialist. They gave me some exercises to do for my foot, and also said that one thing we could do is order some insoles for my shoes that would make it a lot better. And I was very excited to get this because nothing else worked, and it was getting hard to get around. Well, I did the exercises and I ordered the insoles, and guess what? For me, it didn't work. The problem kept getting worse. And all along I had prayed, especially when I started to seeing that what I could do for myself wasn't working. I began to pray and say, "God, please take this away from me. Please heal my body. Please heal my foot. Please take this away from me." Now, come back to this day on June 14th, when I was driving down the freeway, almost in tears, wondering, what am I going to do? How much worse can it get before I have a disability? And I changed that day. I changed the way I prayed. And instead of telling God what to do, saying, "God, I want you to heal my foot. I want you to make me better. I want you to take away this pain." Instead of that, I asked God, "God, what should I do? What should I be doing? What can I do?" It's amazing when we ask the right question, the answers that we can get. And the answer I got was to look inside. And I thought, my gosh, what does that mean? Look inside. But I trusted, and I started going inside and asking myself questions. I began, through my intuition, interrogating my subconscious mind. What could be the problem? And I asked several questions, and finally I asked, is there a forgiveness issue involved here? And I got a resounding yes. And so then I started doing a time regression on that to find out when that happened. And it was from 3 years previous, and I knew exactly the moment that that's the answer I got, I knew what the issue was. It was a forgiveness issue over a large investment that I'd made. I invested a lot of money in a fitness company that had a whole new take on fitness, and I just knew this was going to be big, and we was going to make big money on it. And the people that were running the company was telling me all of the projection things that was going to happen. And so I invested enough to buy a nice home. And a lot of that money came from my parents' inheritance, that my father, as a farmer, had worked hard, him and my mother, and left us a nice inheritance. And I took that money and then some other monies that I had saved up, and I invested into this company. Well, it didn't do as we projected it would. In fact, the money is still tied up right there to this day. And I was like, oh, I need to forgive. And so I started in and I forgave the people that were involved in this company, those who founded the company, who were running it, anybody that I might be holding a grudge against. And I spoke the words and says, and I forgive so-and-so for what they did. And I forgive this guy for what he did, and for enticing me to invest the money. I didn't feel like I was getting anywhere. And I asked myself, what more is there? And then came the answer, I need to forgive myself. This is the person that I'm holding the biggest grudge against, is myself. And I did that. I started in, I says, I forgive myself for investing the money in this company. I forgive myself. I keep closing my eyes because when I do these processes many times, I do them with closed eye processes, so I can really focus on what I'm doing. It eliminates all distractions. And I find myself, when I'm talking to people, I close my eyes as I tell them about it. I forgive myself. And I got to the point where, and I forgive myself for taking the money and the inheritance that I had from my dad and putting it somewhere where it wasn't working. And now I can't get it back. And as I did this, I started to cry and I sobbed. And I realized how powerful, how much toxicity I was holding inside, how much self-loathing and shame and blame I was holding on to, and I completely released that and I let it go. And I got to my destination and got out of my truck, and I thought, my goodness, my foot doesn't hurt as bad. And that night, when I got home, my foot had continued to get feeling better throughout the day. And that night when I got home, I showed my wife, I says, look how good I can limp around the house. You know, and I was hobbling around, but much better than I had been. And I was so excited. That moment changed my life when I realized that. And I'm so very grateful that God didn't answer my prayers the way I wanted him to. That he used this as an opportunity to teach me a greater lesson. So inside of all this garbage was a gift. Inside of this great problem that I had, God had a gift for me. And it was the knowledge that I'm sharing with you today that I have found to be so powerful. I realized that it doesn't just affect our health, our physical health, it also affects our mental health. And it affects our surroundings and the way that we do business, the things we're trying to create or manifest in our life, has a great effect on them. So when I talk about partial power and full power, that's what I found out, because after I realized that I had a forgiveness issue that was causing my foot so much problem, I went on and I started looking for anything I could forgive somebody for, so that, yeah, I realized how much I was holding myself back. And as I did that, I felt the freedom and I felt the weight lifting off. And it was amazing. And then it changed the way I do healing sessions with my clients. Because now when a client is up against an issue, whether it's a health challenge or a life challenge, whatever it is, I ask the question, not to the client, but to their subconscious or their higher self. I ask, is it a forgiveness issue? Is there something here that needs to be forgiven? And many, many times I get the answer that yes, it is. And then we do a regression and find out what part of their life it's in. And I'll talk about that a little bit later. But I find the issues and grudges that we're holding on to. So that was huge for me. But the question you may be thinking is, well, how do I know if I'm operating under full power or part power? Or how do I know? Because I feel good. Hey, you know what? I felt like I had full power till I realized that I didn't, till I started getting more power back. And the best way I know to do this is to tell you a story. It's a 2,000-year-old story in the form of a parable, but I want to update it to fit into today's lifestyle, whatever you want to call it that way. But there was a CEO of a large company and had grown this company quite large and decided, you know what, it's time to step back a little bit. And he decided to take a sabbatical and step away and work on some personal things in his life that he had desires to work on. So he called 3 of his top managers in. He says, you guys, I want you to run my company while you're gone, and I'm going to give you responsibilities. In fact, I'm going to give you each talents. Now, a talent isn't, in this sense, to be able to play the piano so much as it was a sum of money. And a talent was a large sum of money. It was worth about 16 and a half years of labor. So just for the sake of simplicity and something that I can wrap my brain around, let's figure a talent is $1 million. You know, a lot of people can make $1 million in 16 and a half years if that's, you know, in an average wage. So he gave one of them $10 million. He gave another one $5 million. And to the other one, he gave $1 million. And he told them each to be wise with them, to go out and to grow and multiply this gift that he had given them. And that when he came back, he would ask for an accounting of what was done. And the first 2 went out and went right to work, trying to grow and increase their money, their talents, their gift. The third one was fearful because he knew that his boss was a harsh man and a very astute businessman, and he was afraid that he would be really mad at him if he lost this money. So he took it and he just kept it in a safe place. so that he would make sure that he wouldn't lose this money, and he wasn't going to do anything with it for risk of losing it. Well, as you know, the CEO came back after a time and asked for an accounting, and the two who had went out and increased had actually doubled what they had been given. One man who received 10 presented 20. One man who received 5 presented 10. And the CEO was very happy with him, and he gave him a promotion and a corner office and a company car to drive and an expense account. Rewarded them very well. To the third man, he says, okay, what do you have to show? The third man says, well, I knew you were a hard case and that you would be very upset if I lost your money. So I took it and I was very, very careful with it, and I made sure I didn't lose a penny. So here it is, exactly what you gave me, just like you gave it to me. And the man was very, very upset with him. He says, this is not what I expected of you as a manager. You can now go work in the mailroom. So go downstairs, bottom floor, you can sort mail. And he got a big demotion. How does this apply to us and to what we do with our energy? Well, we go through life, and each of us at the time we come into this earth, we come here with an energy bank, and some of us have more gifts and talents, some of us have less. We have more power or less, but we all come in with a certain amount, and we're expected by our master to multiply what we are given. And so what happens is when we go out in life, when we bump into somebody in the grocery store, when somebody cuts us off in traffic, when somebody steals from us, takes from us, when they say bad things about us, we get very offended and upset at these people. And when we do that, we take part of our little nest egg of energy and invest it with this person over here. And we invest it with that person over there. And every time somebody upsets us or makes us angry, we invest part of our energy with them. And when we do, that remains locked up, and we move on to the next moment, that remains locked up over here in the past. And we have no power in the past. And so it's like taking your money, half of your paycheck, and investing it in a bank that's gone out of business. You cannot get a return on that investment. You won't get a dividend on it. It will sit there stagnant, and you no longer can able to use it. You're no longer able to use it in present time because you've invested in the past. When we are angry with someone, when we're upset with them, we take our energy, our life force energy, and we invest it in the past with that person. And it's stuck there. And we can never get it back until we forgive that person. Until we find forgiveness and a way to step into a space of love and light and to move forward and to not carry that burden, that person's burden with us. So whether it's something very, very serious or someone who just cut us off in traffic, we invest a certain amount of money with them. And we walk around and we're tired and we pray and we don't get answers. And we try to start a new business and we just can't get it off the ground. Our relationships are coming apart. And we wonder, why? I'm trying so hard, I'm working so hard. Why won't this work for me? And the reason is that we have all of our power, our energy invested into all these past situations behind us where they can't do us any good. The only way to get that back is to forgive. And when you do, you not only get back what you invested, but you get back a dividend and you receive an increase. And there you multiply your talents. So that's how we can end up working at part power. And this is a big thing that I've learned on this journey of healing. That if we have all of our power in present time, we're human beings. We're meant to operate in the here and now. This is the only time, the only place that we have power to change anything is right now. You can't change what happened yesterday, and I cannot change what's going to happen tomorrow. I can influence and affect it. But where I have power is in this moment, right here, right now. That's where my power is. So I want to share with you the grudge hook. And this is a powerful thing that I put together to really help you visualize what this looks like. And imagine yourself, imagine a hook being through you and through every person that has offended you. Holding on to a grudge is like being on a giant hook. Next to you on the hook is a person who has offended you. The hook is extremely painful and the wound cannot heal. Wherever you go, so does the hook and so does the offender. The only way to get off the hook is to allow the offender off first. It is only at this point that the healing process may begin. The cost of not allowing the other person off the hook is perhaps a lifetime of unhappiness. So powerful image there. I hope that burned into your brain of this large hook that's through you and through everyone you're holding a grudge with. Because literally and energetically, that's what's going on. You are connected to these people, and you're dragging their weight around with you as you go through life. These people you have grudges with, where you've invested all your past energies with, and you have no resource to them. And on top of that, you're dragging these people's dead weight with you wherever you go. So, not good. That's why I'm doing this series. I want you to realize just how powerful and how important forgiveness is. Let me give you just a couple of examples and we'll wrap it up. My daughter-in-law, Jessica, she's had migraines since she was an early teen, and they've progressively gotten worse. And in fact, last summer, my son had to take her into the emergency room one evening because her migraines were so bad that she was slurring her words and she was starting to pass out. She was blacking out. And they took her in, and of course at the emergency room they says, yes, you have migraines, and they're very severe. And whatever hospitals do, they give you some pills for them. But it's been something that's been quite an issue. As these migraines, it seems like as she was getting older, they were getting more intense. Fast forward to last Thanksgiving. As I said, we love to go camping together, and on Thanksgiving, as a family, we went down to Moab and camped out. Had a great time. But after the first day at Moab, early in the evening, Jessica left. When I asked where she went, they says, oh, she went in the trailer. My son told me that she was starting to get a headache and it was coming on to one of those bad migraines. He says, if she doesn't go lay down and get on top of this right now, she could be down and out for 2 days, and she won't enjoy the rest of this vacation. I went in and knocked on the door of her camper. Said, Jessica, let's see if we can do some work. And the first question I asked was, and again, I didn't ask Jessica. I did it through kinesiology, through testing, through interfacing with her subconscious, her higher self. I said, is this a forgiveness issue? And the answer I got was yes. And when I traced it back, I did a time regression back to about 8 years old, 8, 9 years old in that area there. I says, what was going on in your life? Did a grandparent die? Did you have something? What was upsetting this time in your life? She says, I really don't remember anything. Just everything was perfect as far as I can remember. And so we kept asking questions, and finally I said, does it have anything to do with your friends? And the answer I got was yes. And she says, wow, I don't remember. I had great friends. I liked them. And we kept asking questions. She was like, it is not making sense to me. I really don't think there's anything there. And she was probably thinking, you're a little bit off your rocker. But I kept going. And I kept asking, and I tested. I said, you know what? I think it has something to do with your sister, too. What was going on with your friends and your little sister? And she says, oh, my gosh. Again, I'm closing my eyes because it's a closed eye process a lot of times. What I remember is that my friends, my little sister was a couple of years younger, and maybe she was a little obnoxious at that time. My friends were kind of mean to her and teased her, and I didn't like that. She says, but that didn't seem like that big of a deal. She says, could that really be the problem? And I says, well, I'm testing that it is the problem. So let's go through the forgiveness issues, Jessica. Name your friends. And I asked, I don't remember what her friends' names were, but I had her name her friends one by one. And let's say it was Rachel. Rachel, I led her in a repeat after me process. Rachel, I forgive you for being mean to my little sister. I release that and let it go. It's no longer part of me, and push this away. And I release it and let it go now. And then I would have her go on to the next friend. When she did all of her friends, she goes, that seems weird. I don't remember it being that big of an issue. Are you sure? I says, well, stop and think for a minute now. How does your head feel? And her eyes rolled around in a circle, and she says, oh my gosh, I hadn't even noticed, but my headache is almost like gone. And we had the rest of a great trip. She slept well through the night, didn't have any more headaches, and she has not had a migraine since this day. The reason I tell that story is because sometimes we can have very serious health problems that are caused by small issues. And I tell you that no issue is too small to forgive. If somebody upsets you, forgive and forgive in the moment, okay? And also, sometimes you need a second person to come in and help you find the issues that you've long since forgotten about that are still causing problems and chaos in your life. Let me tell you about one more story. This is a dear lady who came to me about 3 weeks ago, and her life was in chaos. She wasn't necessarily having a lot of health problems. That wasn't an issue. She came for me. Her life was just in chaos. It was like she was circling the drain. And as I talked to her and asked her what was going on, she said, well, I've got this house that I'm living in. I've got this other large home that I own that I've been trying to sell. It's on the market and I'm not getting any activity. There's no traffic coming to the house. And I'm making double house payments. It's really overwhelming me. Not only that, some former occupants of that house, there's some lawsuits going on with them, and this just keeps escalating and getting bigger and worse. It's escalating, it's growing, this problem. And I says, well, what's going on in your personal life, or how do you feel about things? And an issue come up. She had a family member that she was very upset with, and had this family member been a thorn in her side for many years. I'm not going to tell you this lady's real name, but we'll call her Julie for today's purposes. And I said, Julie, I think you have some huge forgiveness issues with this family member. And she's like, this person's she's been so much trouble. Well, that's fine. We'd talked a little bit before she actually came to do sessions with me. And when she came in to do her first session, it was so funny. She said, you know what? I don't want to deal with my sister. I don't want to talk about her. I'm here to work on me. I want to work on me. I don't care about my sister. I said, well, we will do whatever you want, but let's just see where your subconscious wants to go. And we did that, and we spent the whole session and several times, a lot of time, working on issues with her sister, resolving and forgiving these problems that they had had. And she went away saying, oh my gosh, I feel so light. I had no idea how many problems were coming up in my life because of these resentments I was holding on to with family issues. And it was very powerful and very huge for her. That was 3 weeks ago when we had our first appointment. And I just spoke to her a few days ago, and her life has totally changed because she let go of the grudges. She got the hook out and quit dragging other people around with her. The house, she's had a lot of people come through the house. There's always seemed to be a huge beehive of activity. It looks like the house will go under contract with buyers within the next few days, and the lawsuit situation is resolving itself. All the anger and the intensity is coming out of it, and it looks like they're going to be able to reach a resolution that will be acceptable and peaceful to everyone. So, powerful stuff. Forgiveness issues, grudge issues, can affect us in so many ways. It's not just something we talk about in Sunday school. And we don't forgive people so that God won't be mad at us. And that's the perception I think that many of us think is we need to forgive them so God won't not like us. You know, we need to forgive them for us, so we're not carrying their weight around with us, and so that we can free up and recoup all of our energy into present time and space, so we are powerful to work and to move forward, to manifest and create what we desire in this life. Next week, come back. We're going to get into the nuts and bolts of how to forgive. I go into some very detailed processes. These are some things that I had to learn as I went on this journey and began forgiving issues. And there were things that it didn't seem like I was able to let go of and able to forgive, especially with myself. And I learned some very powerful techniques and procedures, and I'm going to share them with you next week. So come back and join us. If you would like to work with me, if you have questions, email me, and it's right here at the bottom of the screen, bill@allthingspossible.biz. Email me, I would love to work with you and help you through your challenges in life. I do sessions by phone. I do them in person, of course, and I also do them by Skype and FaceTime with video conferencing. They're can be just as effective in person and just as effective with video conferencing. Either way, very powerful stuff, and I would love to work with you. And don't forget, if you want to receive your free 7 traits to having all things possible in your life, go to our website at www.allthingspossible.biz and click on the Get Your Free 7 Traits. It's free, but the value is immeasurable. If you will take these traits and apply them in your life, you will create miracles in your life. Bless you. I have the best desires for you. May your life be everything you dreamed it would. Thank you for coming, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.